When the Halloween bash was announced, I'll admit I was a little puzzled. After all, this is high school, and most of us had long ago ditched the trick-or-treat bags. Our principal, however, saw it as a perfect reason to throw the party. She scheduled Friday as a costume day at school, with the main event on Saturday night. The guys I talked to were all excited about dressing up as their favorite characters. Since I'm not really into comics, animation, or trading cards, I was stumped for a costume idea. Then my occasional girlfriend Jessy suggested I go as a girl. At first, I hesitated, but after mentioning it to my mom, she agreed. I'd never dressed as a girl before, so I was half expecting to end up as the bride of Frankenstein, which wouldn't have been too bad. Mom took some measurements, and then it slipped my mind. 3 weeks later, she assured me I'd be the belle of the ball. Right. With my sister away at college, I was certain Mom would borrow some of her stuff to transform me into a girl. I was really hoping she wouldn't make me wear one of those super short skirts Lisa likes. I hadn't told anyone, not even Jessy, that I'd agreed to dress up as a girl. I didn't want to deal with the backlash I was sure to receive. The weekend before the party, Mom pulled me into her bedroom and instructed me to undress. Once I was down to my briefs, she applied hair remover all over me. After showering it off, my skin was smooth and hair-free, but I felt chilly when I returned to her room. On the bed lay a pile of clothes for me to try on. I wanted to get you all dressed up so we could see how you look and make any corrections we need to make. What could I say? Mom insisted that I go all the way, which means wearing panties as well, so I turned around so I could slip them on. The pink nylon against my now smooth skin gave me the shivers and started to cause a problem, so I tucked things away before I faced her again. I expected to have the bra wrapped around me, but she dug out a white corselet. Not realizing what it's used for, I was unprepared when, after I fastened the hooks, she yanked the laces so tight I could hardly breathe. Then, as my waist grew smaller, I saw the flesh on my chest rising until I almost filled the cups of the built-in bra. Mom didn't bat an eyelash as she stuffed old nylons under each of my new chest, making them seem fuller, and creating cleavage at the same time. When I sat at her vanity, she showed me how to apply makeup. I had to do it myself, but Mom stood right there coaching me. I started with a fresh jar of foundation. Mom assured me it matched my skin perfectly, and as I applied it, I could see she was correct. With a light application, my sparse beard vanished. Next, I dusted on translucent powder to soften and mattify my complexion. For my eyes, I began with a gentle mint green eyeshadow along the lid's edges, followed by a subtle gray. A touch of coral blush just beneath each eyebrow added a hint of color. I applied black eyeliner effortlessly, then lightly lined under each eye with a black pencil. Mom said I was good to go with just that much makeup. Looking in the mirror, I realized I didn't resemble the bride of Frankenstein. Instead, I appeared as a rather adorable girl. Then came the pantyhose, which felt so good on my legs, and an old padded panty brief my sister used at one time, and finally, the dress was slipped over my head and zipped up. Mom told me it's called a sheath. It has a square-cut neckline, no sleeves, and leaves me undressed up to about mid-thigh on me. Mom said that red is the perfect color for me. Then, as I sat at the vanity again, an auburn wig was placed on my head, made tight, and brushed out. When I looked in the mirror, I was shocked, but Mom did not give me time to look at myself. I quickly had earrings, a watch, a necklace, then heels on. She handed me the bright red lipstick, and when I had traced the waxy red on my lips, she spritzed me with perfume and told me to look in the mirror. I was rendered speechless. My hair cascaded above my shoulders, with curls at the ends, framing my face delicately. Bangs swept across my forehead to one side. I possessed a feminine silhouette now, with hints of my chest visible beneath my top. My legs, once average, now appeared stunningly shapely. The nylons hinted at a subtle shimmer with every movement, and though the heels were tight, they complemented the outfit perfectly. Mom stood beside me, smiling, before dropping her revelation. I know those heels are snug, but they're all I have. Perhaps we can go to the store and find a better fitting pair. What? I can't go out like this. And why not? Take another look and tell me you recognize yourself. I didn't resemble my former self, and we both acknowledged it. So she handed me a purse and gently nudged me out of the house. On the journey to the store, she advised me that trying on women's shoes while dressed as a woman would be less daunting, which made sense, so I relented. However, my apprehension lingered. We had to park at the back of the lot, and by the time we reached the store, my feet were in agony, confirming her earlier advice about the importance of comfortable shoes for a long evening. A sales associate measured my foot, determined I wore a size 9, and then my mom and I began perusing the various styles. Since I was clueless about what to choose, I allowed her to take the lead. I had a pair of red heels with ankle straps in hand when I spotted Jessy entering the store. My nerves went into overdrive as she walked past me without so much as a glance in my direction. Mom noticed Jessy passing by and I caught her smiling and nodding at me. When we left the store, I held onto the red heels and a pair in black while wearing a simple pair of black flats on my feet. See? I told you that you looked fine. Jessy didn't even recognize you, and she knows you quite well. That particular experience significantly improved my confidence in dressing as a girl, and I began to ease up a bit. Mom made a quick stop on the way home, and as we pulled into the driveway, I noticed Lisa's car parked there. Remember, you're going by Laura now. Let's see how Lisa reacts. Okay, Mom. As we entered the house, I followed Mom's lead, leaving the shoes in the car. Lisa greeted us, and Mom introduced me as Laura. There was a moment of silence before Lisa erupted with excitement. She had figured it out. As I stood there, allowing Lisa to scrutinize me, I started to appreciate my appearance. I could smell the perfume, taste the lipstick, and feel the breeze brushing against my legs, bringing a sense of tranquility. Lisa was eager for all the details, so Mom filled her in while I listened. That's when Lisa suggested that we all go out to dinner, as 3 ladies, of course. I have the perfect dress for Laura to wear, Mom, the black one. Naturally, Mom agreed, and soon I was handed a dress to wear for the evening. Glancing at the clock, I realized I had about 3 hours to spare, and Lisa suggested I try on some more of her clothes, so we headed to her bedroom. As I slipped off the dress, I heard her gasp at the sight of my enhanced chest, but I simply smiled at her. Not to be outdone, she swiftly removed her top, then grinned as she compared our chests. It was almost comical, like a contest of who had the biggest. The first skirt she offered me was a pleated green and white plaid wraparound paired with a white blouse. Then there was the sundress, a barely there piece of fabric that left little to the imagination. When I tried it on and looked in the mirror, I almost considered wearing it to the party, but of course, it would be too cold for that. Nevertheless, it did make me look attractive. Following that was a lovely pink suit with a straight skirt, and then she handed me the black dress. It seemed quite small at first, but as it slipped over my head and Lisa zipped it up, I realized it fit perfectly. The strapless design made me worry the top might slip down, but it stayed in place, accentuating my cleavage even more. The bodice hugged me snugly, while the skirt flared out, ending just above my knees. Paired with my black heels, it looked stunning on me. Lisa quickly selected different earrings, a choker necklace, and an ankle bracelet for me to wear. I asked her to unzip the dress, then went to my room to shave again. If I was going out, I wanted to look flawless. Standing there in just panties, a corselet, and pantyhose, adorned with the wig and makeup, I gazed into the mirror and pondered why it mattered so much to me to look exquisite tonight. I could easily freshen up and opt for slacks and a jacket, yet I found myself yearning to don the black dress. I desired to exude allure and elegance, to emit the scent of perfume and relish the taste of lipstick once more. I had never embarked on such an endeavor before, so why now? And why did I feel this intense urge? I was certain of my attraction to girls, and during my upbringing, only women and female impersonators wore dresses. Now, here I was, not fitting into either category. Unable to undo the laces of the corselet, I chose to leave it on and proceeded to wash off the makeup and shave again, this time more meticulously. Donning a robe, I returned to Lisa's room, where she observed as I reapplied my makeup. This time, I managed with only minor adjustments, such as changing the eyeshadow color. Lisa suggested a combination of copper with light gray and silver, creating a dramatic effect. She also proposed the idea of wearing fake nails, to which I agreed, and she promptly affixed, filed, and painted them a vibrant red. As I waited for the polish to dry, Lisa began undressing, and when I commented on it, she simply smiled and continued. Clad in her bra and panties, she headed to the bath, returning damp from her shower. With her assistance, I slipped into the dress, she fastened the choker necklace for me, and then I returned to my room to complete my preparations. After finishing up, I made my way to Mom's room, knocked on the door, and borrowed her perfume while accepting the black purse she offered. I was in the family room when Mom and Lisa entered. Lisa wore her green dress, similar to mine, while Mom opted for a royal blue sheath dress. Mom handed me the car keys, and for the first time, I drove wearing heels. Surprisingly, it wasn't as challenging as I had anticipated, and I quickly adapted. Upon arriving at the restaurant, I gracefully exited the car, despite wearing a dress, providing the valet with an unexpected sight when my dress slid up. Mom made no comment as we entered the restaurant. We were promptly seated and treated with exceptional hospitality. It was an experience I had never encountered as my male self, prompting me to wonder why, but Mom and Lisa took it all in stride. As we enjoyed dinner, a man approached our table and asked Mom to dance. As she joined him, Lisa pointed out two guys heading our way. "Get ready, Laura, we're about to be asked to dance." She was correct. Taking one guy's hand, she left me with little choice, so I accepted the offered hand and allowed him to draw me close. He held me firmly against him, bringing our chests together. Taller than me, I had to tilt my head slightly to meet his gaze. With green eyes, straight teeth, brown hair, and a charming smile, he introduced himself as Dan. After exchanging names, he escorted me back to the table when the music ended, kissed my hand, and departed. Despite appearing calm, internally, I was trembling. Lisa smiled at me but remained silent as we watched Mom continue dancing. Later, on the way home, Mom announced she had a date for the next day. I felt genuinely happy for her, and I'm sure Lisa did too, knowing how lonely Mom had been since Dad divorced her last year. That night, Lisa untied the corset's laces, and as it slipped off my body, I experienced an unparalleled sense of relief. After tidying up, I retired to bed, feeling exhausted yet unable to sleep. Until then, I had simply relished the day and its new sensations, including dancing with a stranger. Now, however, I found myself pondering why I had enjoyed it so much. In the morning, despite knowing I looked disheveled, I wrapped my robe around me, headed to the kitchen, and started the coffee. By the time it finished brewing, both Lisa and Mom had appeared. Mom glanced between Lisa and me before bursting into laughter. "You were absolutely adorable last night, Laura. Brian inquired about you girls, and I could barely bring myself to mention that one of you is my son. So now he thinks I have two beautiful daughters. That means you'll need to be dressed when he arrives at 11. Once we're gone, you can relax, so wear something comfortable." Contrary to Mom's assumptions, I didn't mind at all. After breakfast, Lisa and I went upstairs to change. I ended up wearing a pair of her jeans and a pullover top along with a padded bra and panty brief. While I did my makeup, she fixed my wig, and then I slipped into my own gym shoes. That's how I was attired when Brian arrived. After introductions, Mom and Brian departed. Lisa and I sat facing each other, and she questioned why I had waited so long to start dressing as a girl. "It's just for the party, Lisa, nothing more." "That excuse doesn't fly, Laura. I observed you all day, and last night, you didn't hesitate when that guy asked you to dance. You simply took his hand and enjoyed yourself. Furthermore, you were smiling the entire time. You enjoy dressing as a girl, and it's evident." "No, Oh, yes. Now, let's stop arguing about this and head over to the mall to get you a new padded panty brief, and perhaps some panties of your own?" I understood the necessity of having my own panties, and a better fitting, less constricting panty brief sounded like a good idea to me, so I agreed. After touching up our lipstick, we made it to the mall within 30 minutes. I found myself surrounded by a plethora of lingerie, feeling a bit lost about what to choose, but Lisa seemed to know exactly what to pick out and began handing me various items. It seemed like we bought more than necessary for just 2 more days of dressing up, which I pointed out to Lisa. She simply laughed it off and continued shopping. By the time we left the mall, I had both ears pierced and was wearing 2 small gold studs. Back home, I stayed in my room when Mom returned, avoiding facing Brian again. On Monday morning, as I dressed for school, I immediately noticed the stark contrast between my jeans and the comfort of nylons and a skirt. My still hairless skin felt unusually sensitive, making me acutely aware of the differences in clothing. Surprisingly, I found myself missing the sensation of having my lower legs bare. The entire day was dreadful, and the rest of the week was equally challenging until I returned home on Thursday afternoon. Once again, I meticulously removed my hair and prepared for the next day. Scouring through Lisa's closet, I chose a blue mini dress and ensured everything was in place for the following morning. While Mom and I watched television, I applied the fake nails and painted them in a rosy color. Mom offered to assist me with the wig again, and that night as I lay in bed, I felt a sense of determination to surprise a lot of people. I woke up an hour earlier than usual, shaved, and sat at the vanity doing my makeup when Mom entered. I carefully applied eyeliner and outlined my eyes with a pencil before standing up for her to fasten the corselet. Then I returned to my room and completed my outfit, starting with the pantyhose. I relished the sensation of them against my legs. Next came the padded panty brief and the mini dress. Mom helped secure the wig, and I swapped the gold studs for small hoop earrings, added a short gold chain with a pendant, the gold watch, and 2 rings Mom had given me. A spritz of perfume and a touch of pale rose lipstick completed the look. I made sure my purse contained my wallet, school ID, and essentials, added the lipstick, some tissues, and a small jar of foundation, grabbed my books, and then drove to school. Upon parking the car, I observed a variety of costumes, spacemen and cowboys, ghosts and goblins, and one girl who moved suspiciously like a boy. I entered the school, stopped by my locker, and proceeded to my first class. So far, no one had given me odd looks, and I felt rather confident as I took my seat in the assigned spot. The classroom was filled with costumes, prompting the teacher to glance up as he called out our names. When he called mine and I responded, all eyes turned towards me, and the girl sitting next to me gasped. The teacher merely smiled and carried on with the lesson. On the way out of the room, a few girls complimented my appearance as a girl, but none of the guys uttered a word. Emily suggested it was because they found me more than just good-looking, which made them nervous. By lunchtime, I identified the other boy dressed as a girl and even caught a glimpse of him up close. He looked unmistakably like a boy in a dress. He smiled at me, and I'm certain he never suspected my true identity. At lunch, Emily joined me and inquired about my attire for the upcoming party. I described the black dress to her as best I could. Then she informed me that a friend of hers planned to ask me to the party. I expressed my reluctance, asking her to advise him to wait and see me at the event. Upon returning home that afternoon, I discovered the identity of the friend who wanted me to accompany him to the party, a good friend of mine. As I headed towards my room to change, Mom mentioned that Brian would be arriving shortly, so I decided to wait until they left to change clothes. I sat on the couch, watching television and anticipating their departure. About 20 minutes later, Brian arrived and surprised both Mom and me by inviting us to join him for dinner. Despite my initial refusal, he insisted, stating it was at a fancy restaurant. Mom and I went to change, and I quickly selected a nice pleated tan skirt, a brown pullover top, and Lisa's tan jacket. After changing in my room, I added lipstick and returned downstairs. Mom had not yet arrived, so I nervously sat across from Brian, hoping he wouldn't discern that I was a boy, not a girl. "Your mother mentioned you're in high school, a senior, I believe." "Yes, sir, I attend Central High." "My son goes there too." "Perhaps you know him." "Matt White?" That's the name of a classmate of mine. I recognized him, though we weren't particularly close. Suddenly, I realized this facade could become quite complex, especially since Brian believed Mom had 2 daughters. Right at that moment, Mom walked in, and Brian drove us to dinner. Throughout the evening, I made a conscious effort to behave like a lady, but the persistent worry that Matt might inadvertently disrupt Mom's relationship with Brian by mentioning the truth gnawed at me. It wasn't about my own fear, of course. I liked Brian and wanted Mom to be happy, but this revelation could potentially derail her plans. I felt a sense of relief when Brian finally drove us home. I waited for Mom to come inside, which took about 20 minutes. Once she did, I asked her to join me in the kitchen. "Mom, his son goes to school with me. You told him I was your daughter. What if his son tells him otherwise?" "He already knows, honey. I just informed him." "How did he react?" "He laughed, then mentioned that his son described you perfectly and thinks you're attractive." "This should be interesting. Brian knows, but his son Matt doesn't?" "That's what he said." "Stop worrying about it and go to bed, Laura. You have a big day ahead, and I have a surprise for you." "What kind of surprise?" "You'll find out in the morning." I went to bed, pondering what Mom had in store. During breakfast, Mom revealed that she had purchased a new wig for me and unveiled it from its box. The wig, auburn like the previous one, was slightly longer and styled similarly but with more volume. Then she presented the dress. As she removed it from the plastic bag, I couldn't help but doubt its size, but she reassured me that it would fit with a little assistance. Since the party wasn't until 7, I had ample time to prepare. Instead of using the hair cream again, I opted to fill the bath with hot water and bath oils, settling in for a relaxing soak before shaving meticulously. When the water cooled, I wrapped myself in a robe and spent some time on the computer. Around 3 o'clock, Mom informed me it was time to start getting ready. I shaved as closely as possible before heading to Lisa's room to sit at her vanity. Mom observed as I skillfully applied foundation, blotting with powder and achieving a smooth, soft complexion. Using light green, I delicately lined my upper eyelids, adding copper and light gray for depth. The liquid eyeliner glided on effortlessly as I adjusted the thickness of the line. I completed the look by outlining each eye with a black pencil and applying a blend of peach and soft rose blusher to my cheeks. "You're becoming quite adept at doing your own makeup, Laura." What could I respond to that? Back in my own room, I pulled on a pair of panties, tucked things away, then pulled on the padded panty brief and wrapped the corset around myself, fastening the hooks up the front before I called Mom. As she pulled the laces tight, she told me to draw in my breath, then she pulled them even tighter than the first time. Gasping, I stood there as she reached in and pulled my excess skin up and into the bra cups, then watched as I slipped soft foam pads under each chest, filling out the cups and raising my own skin, once again forming the very exciting twin mounds of my chest. She watched as I pulled on the pantyhose, then she and I went back in Lisa's room where Mom then watched me as I painted each nail a bright red. When the polish was dry, we went back in my room. The dress is all white, a clingy material that hugged my abdomen tightly, flaring out at the hips and ending at mid-thigh on me. The top had 2 very thin spaghetti straps to hold up the low-cut top, which was cut in a V-shape to expose even more of my pseudo-chest. I loved it. Then Mom gave me a pair of bright red heels with an ankle strap. At first, I had a heck of a time bending over to fasten the strap, but as I got used to the tight corselet, I managed to do it. All Mom did was laugh at me and insist that I do it myself. Then came the wig, which Mom put on me, making it tight on my head with the drawstring and several bobby pins. After brushing it out, I looked in the mirror and saw all of me for the first time that day. I even shocked myself. I would say that Brian's son Matt was right. "Laura, you are hot." What could I say that even resembled humble? I did look hot, and I was sure that I would cause quite a stir when I walked into the party, especially with the girls. No matter what some of them did, they could never look like this, no matter how hard they tried. Mom gave me a red purse, then a brand new wallet, which was just like hers. Without a word, she started to remove things from my own wallet and hand them to me. Once I had everything in my wallet, I took the red lipstick and traced my lips with it, making them look fuller, and completed the look. Just then the doorbell rang, and Mom told me to stay there. As I waited, I went in Lisa's room and added some perfume to my neck, elbows and wrists, the gold and red chandelier earrings, the matching choker necklace, the gold watch, and 2 rings. Just then I heard Mom call me, and I went down the stairs as daintily as I could. Upon reaching the landing, I noticed Matt and his father standing there, both with their mouths agape, staring at me. Taking a deep breath, I carried on until I reached Mom's side. "Allow me to introduce Laura, gentlemen." Hi, Laura." Matt was stumbling over his words, but his eyes sparkled with excitement, and he wore a smile that puzzled me. His father remained silent, well aware that I was a boy, just like Matt. Brian's attention was evidently fixed on Mom, not me, his intentions transparent. "Brian invited me out tonight, Laura, and we thought it might be nice if Matt escorted you to the party. After all, you've only driven in heels once before, and this would be much safer." "Right. Matt takes me to the party, with me looking like this, there is only one conclusion everyone will come to. He and I have something going." But how could I graciously say no? All I could do was smile and hope for the best. Matt was dressed as Superman, and I'll have to admit that the tight uniform looked good on him. He even had the hair and eyes for it. Matt reached out his hand to me. I paused a moment before I took it and let him lead me to his car, the only one in the driveway. Mom and Brian waved at us as we drove away. Matt said nothing for a bit, but he kept sneaking looks at me. My dress had crept up my legs almost to my hips, and as I struggled to pull it down my chest kept bouncing, which of course drew his eye even more. I gave up and sat there. "I mentioned to Dad that you looked attractive the other day, but tonight, wow." "Matt, remember, I'm a boy." "Maybe, but you certainly don't look like one. In fact, you look better than any girl I know. All the kids are going to assume we're together, you realize that, right? And I'm a boy. We can't be seen as anything more than friends. You still look attractive, Laura, and that's all that matters to me." It was beginning to resemble a scene from Some Like It Hot, so I resigned myself to the situation just as he pulled into the parking lot. Matt managed to exit the car and open my door before I could, and I reluctantly accepted his hand as I stepped out. He attempted to link arms with me as we entered, but a sharp look from me made him release his grip. The gym was dimly lit, adorned with streamers and balloons, eerie music filling the air, and a small crowd milling about as we made our way to the drink table. My friend Emily spotted me and approached. She was dressed as Cinderella. With Matt lingering nearby, she and I subtly moved away from the crowd. "Damn, Laura. You looked good the other day. I might as well go jump off a bridge." "It's just for today, Emily, then back to my usual self." "Somehow, I doubt that." "What do you mean? You're not giving this up, are you?" "I mean, look at you. Every guy in here has his eyes on you, trying to figure out who you are and how they can get with you." Emily glanced over at Matt, noticed him watching us, and then turned back to me. "Like him. Superman over there sees his Lois Lane in you. Didn't I see you two arrive together? His dad and my mom are seeing each other. They thought it would be cute if he and I came together. You could do worse, Laura. He's kind of cute." "Emily, I'm a boy, remember?" "Not tonight, Laura. Tonight, you're one smoking hot lady." Emily walked away, and Matt appeared at my side once more. A slow song began, and he wrapped his arms around me, pulling me close as we moved onto the dance floor. Not wanting to cause a scene, I let him lead me around. He was a skilled dancer, guiding me effortlessly with his hands. I began to relax, allowing the music to sweep us away. Just as the song ended, someone tapped Matt on the shoulder and cut in. I found myself in the arms of our class president. Another dance began, and he steered me away from Matt. "Emily mentioned that she knows you," he said. "She's correct, you do know me, but I'm not sure if I want to reveal myself," I replied. "Tell me anyway." Reluctantly, I did, but he pushed me away, scrutinized me, and shook his head. "No chance. I can recognize a girl when I see one, and you're undeniably a girl." No matter what I said, he remained unconvinced, and I eventually gave up. Then Matt reappeared, cutting in once more. As the night progressed, many guys approached me for dances, which made me anxious. What would happen when they discovered my true identity? Then Jessy approached our table and introduced herself to me. "Emily mentioned that I might know you, but I can't recall your name, sorry," she said. "Oh, you know me, Jessy." "Think about it," I replied. My voice triggered her memory. Her eyes widened in shock for a moment, then she burst into laughter. "Well, I'll be. You look stunning, and judging by the number of guys asking you to dance, they seem to think so too." "They'll be disappointed, Jessy. Laura will be gone by tomorrow morning." Jessy exchanged a glance with Emily, and together they shook their heads in silence. Since there wasn't a costume contest, I opted not to remove my wig, leaving many people under the impression that I was a girl. Matt took my hand as the music resumed, a slow melody filling the air. He enveloped me in his arms as we glided across the dance floor. By the time the music ceased, I could feel Matt's arousal pressing against my leg, which he discreetly attempted to conceal. A teacher announced the end of the party, prompting Matt to grasp my hand once more as we exited the gym. This time, I didn't pull away. About halfway to the car, he draped his arm around me, drawing me closer. As we drove home, he parked the car just down the street from my house. I knew exactly what he had in mind. I had entertained the possibility that he might stop, but I was uncertain about my response. Many people mistook me for a girl, and some even found me attractive. Moreover, I had grown fond of dressing in this manner. Matt halted the car and cast a grin in my direction. His arm slid over my shoulder, drawing me nearer. Succumbing to the moment, I closed my eyes as his lips met mine. A surge of electricity pulsed through me as his tongue gently probed my lips, and instinctively, I parted them. His hand found its way to my leg, and though my mind urged me to pull away, my body was in control. His touch traveled upward, caressing my stomach before grazing my chest. I shifted slightly, inadvertently allowing my hand to rest on his lap. His passion was evident, but I withdrew my hand and broke the kiss. Without a word, I gestured toward my house, unable to articulate my thoughts. He walked me to the door, then asked me if we could go out again. "Matt, I'm a boy, just like you." Regardless of what just happened, the answer is no. It would never work out. I went in the house, leaving him standing there as I shut the door. I turned to go to my room and saw Mom standing there. "Let me help you with that corselet, Laura. You can tell me how the evening went." By the time I got to the part when he stopped the car, I was down to my panties. Mom told me to go to bed, then left the room. What a party this turned out to be. I discovered that I like to dress as a girl, and I'm not only good at it, I would have no shortage of dates if I wanted them. The next day I wore my own clothes, afraid to become Laura again. I might not have the strength to give it up if I did. Mom said nothing when she saw me. All day I drifted through the house like an aimless housefly, trying to settle down but could not. I kept thinking of the way I felt when Matt kissed me, and wondered why I wasn't ashamed of myself. I went back to school, with only a few people mentioning the way I looked at the party. The days seemed to drag by, one drudge after another, as I kept thinking of how I looked at the party. On Thursday morning, I opened my closet and saw that over half of the space was now taken with skirts and blouses, a few dresses and a suit. In my dresser, the corselet, padded panty brief and my panties were in one drawer, along with pantyhose. I went to find Mom, but before I could even say a word she told me to sit down. "You've been moody and curt, your schoolwork has fallen and you don't eat right. All of this started the day you became a boy again. I have decided that you should try it again, maybe only on the weekends, at least for a while. Mom smiled that smile of hers, then told me that the clothes in my closet were mine now, and also that Matt had called. He wanted to take me to the show on Saturday. I looked at Mom, hoping I would see some sign to tell me to say no, but Mom got up and went into the family room without a word. I inspected the garments hanging in my closet, running my fingers over the fabrics and noting the presence of both wigs on the shelf. Merely seeing the clothes ignited a strong desire to dress as Laura once more, the temptation to embrace that identity growing increasingly irresistible in my mind. Later, Matt phoned once again, and eventually, I agreed to the date. He never acknowledged the fact that I was a boy, much like him, and I eventually ceased attempting to resist his burgeoning attraction. After the show, I encountered Jessy at the burger joint, her smile silently affirming her earlier insights. It was clear to me now that abandoning the persona of Laura was not an option. Meanwhile, Lisa returned to college, and I began assuming the role of Laura every Friday, right after school. As I've mentioned, that party was truly transformative, allowing me to fully embrace my feminine side. Without it, I might never have truly discovered myself. Mom and I grew closer as a result, and she also spent more time with Brian. She mentioned that he and Matt discussed our dating situation, but ultimately, it's up to us. For Christmas, I received a new vanity, which I'm currently using to do my makeup for the New Year's party. Matt and I have a date tonight, and he'll be here in half an hour. I must hurry now. I have a stunning new dress that I'll be wearing tonight. I'm sure it will leave him speechless.